Trump's bold strategy, reshaping America's security and global power. By now, the Trump administration has been working to reshape America's education system to better serve its students. But the lessons aren't exclusive to the classroom. They are taking place on the battlefield. Under President Trump's leadership, the message to America's enemies is loud and clear. Peace through strength is back. Last week, a top ISIS leader was taken out in Iraq, delivering a major blow to a terror group that attempted a resurgence under Joe Biden's weak presidency. And this is not an isolated event. In February, President Trump ordered a precision strike that took out a senior ISIS planner before he could bring more destruction to the world. But the fight against terrorism isn't limited to ISIS. Iran's influence remains a major threat, fueling terror groups and instability across the region. That's why this administration is making the investments needed to keep the military strong and America's enemies in check. No more endless wars. America's security is on the line. The message is simple. If you threaten American lives, you will be handled accordingly. That is peace through strength and leadership. I had the chance to sit down with National Security Advisor Mike Wells to break down the mission. This is an important moment in American history. I wanted his take as a national security advisor. Where do we stand with President Trump in the White House compared to the last administration from a national security perspective? Mike Wells, we've inherited a mess around the world. The largest land war in Europe since World War II, fighting that has exploded across the Middle East, and Iran remains a major factor in regional instability. The border is completely out of control, and military cartels are taking over parts of Mexico. But in just over a month, President Trump's leadership is already making a difference. Our enemies understand what we call the Trump effect, strength and decisive action. My job is to advise him on key decisions, and he makes them with clarity and purpose. We are going to clean up this mess, pick up where we left off, and reestablish America as the world's peacemaker. A ceasefire deal between Russia and Ukraine is looming. The truth is, neither side is going to get everything they want. Mike Wells, it's not going to be easy. President Trump fully understands how tough and dug in both sides can be. But he also understands their interests. It's not in anyone's interest to continue this war indefinitely. The critics will talk, but what's the alternative? More years of trench warfare with no end. That's why President Trump keeps asking the right questions. Putin and Zelensky both acknowledge the need for negotiations, and President Trump is uniquely positioned to facilitate peace. There was also an important phone call between President Trump and Putin. Mike Wells, both sides need to stop launching constant missile strikes, especially on nuclear power plants, oil pipelines, and power grids. One day, these will all have to be rebuilt. The first step is reducing violence, exchanging prisoners, and finding a pathway to stability. In the Middle East, the focus is on what happens next. President Trump has already outlined his strategy. Mike Wells, before President Trump was even inaugurated, enemies were backing down because they respect and fear strong leadership in the Oval Office. He understands the reality on the ground. Millions of people have lived in conflict for decades. The question is, have they ever truly been offered a practical solution? President Trump has made it clear, we cannot keep pouring billions into rebuilding Gaza just to see it destroyed again. His approach is different, focused on long-term stability, not endless cycles of war. What about China? Under Trump's first administration, they knew the U.S. wasn't to be underestimated. Where does that relationship stand now? Mike Wells, the Biden administration sat by and watched as a Chinese spy balloon flew over our most sensitive nuclear sites. That would never have happened under President Trump. He understands that China is the biggest strategic competitor of the 21st century. Their economy, military, and naval expansion pose serious challenges, but Trump knows how to counter them. The solution is clear: strengthen the U.S. economy, revitalize manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and shipbuilding, and return to meritocracy. That's how we prevent war, by showing strength and winning economically. China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea are forming a dangerous new alliance. Mike Wells, Americans should rest easy knowing President Trump is back in charge. He is restoring American leadership in the Western Hemisphere, stopping the most devastating war since World War II, and confronting Iran's role in terrorism and instability. With the Abraham Accords and smart diplomacy, we're focusing on peace and security, not endless conflict. My job is to help him execute that vision and bring order back to America's national security strategy. Beyond conventional threats, cybersecurity is a major concern. Mike Wells, cyber warfare is something people don't think about every day, but it's a growing threat. We've been trying to play better defense, But now we need to go on the offense. The enemy needs to know we can strike back just as hard. We've uncovered a Chinese cyber program called Typhoon, where they planted cyber time bombs inside critical U.S. infrastructure. The Biden administration simply asked them to stop. President Trump won't tolerate that. Under his leadership, we're taking control of our technology sector and unleashing it for the defense of the country. This is why Americans should sleep better at night. Trump is back in charge. Despite the high stakes, Wells remains confident about the future. Mike Wells. As a combat veteran in Green Beret, I always think about the men and women on the front lines who carry out these decisions. President Trump is crystal clear in his principles and leadership. American families should feel secure knowing that Trump is back. He's sacrificed a lot to serve this country, and his only goal is a strong, safe America.